Let me take a moment now to give you a flavor of the history of Project Niagara. In the mid-1980s, I was honored to be asked to serve as the chair of the Stratford Festival Board of Governors. During that time, I was fortunate enough to become friends with Tom Patterson. Tom Patterson was the man who founded the Stratford Festival, a really quite remarkable individual who spent many years trying to make that particular dream a reality. And I became fascinated by the extraordinary job that Stratford and the Shaw Festival had done for Canadian theatre. The two festivals not only attracted hundreds of thousands of people from around the world each year, but they also showcased a remarkable group of Canadian actors, designers, and directors for an international audience. Canadians developed a great pride in both organizations, and both Stratford and Shaw became national cultural institutions. And I think that's a very, very important part of this story. These are two organizations that over time attracted enormous pride on the part of Canadians from one end of the country to the other. And Canadians felt very good about these being national showcases for this country. 5 years ago, I began to wonder if the same phenomenon might be possible for Canadian music. Would it be possible to create an international festival that would do for Canadian classical music what Stratford and Shaw had done for Canadian theatre? Several places in the United States have been successful, as Janice mentioned. Tanglewood, for example, in the Berkshires, Ravinia, outside of Chicago, for example, and many, many more places in Europe. Around that time, I got to know Andrew Shaw, a brilliant music executive who had recently become the CEO of the renowned Toronto Symphony Orchestra. During our initial lunch, we began to talk about how much Canada needed an international summer music festival. And Andrew, to my surprise, told me he had also been thinking about trying to create such a festival for a number of years. So there we were, the two of us in our very first conversation, and both of us having the same kind of dream about what we might be able to do in this country. That first conversation began a 5-year journey in which the National Arts Centre, the Toronto Symphony, Parks Canada, and all of you have been intimately involved. We came to believe that the creation of an international summer music festival was financially feasible, that the Niagara region was by far the best place in Canada to host it, that the proposed Parks Canada site would enthrall and inspire music lovers from near and far, that it would provide great economic and cultural benefits to the region, and that it would help to stimulate a whole new era of cultural tourism for the Niagara region and for most of Ontario. We've also, during this journey, had the great privilege of working with extraordinary people throughout the region. Leaders in business and the community whose support has made Project Niagara increasingly attractive for politicians at both Queen's Park and at the federal government level. 5 years later, I'm even more excited about this project than on the day that we started. And I'm even more convinced that all of us, everyone in this room, everyone in this community, working together can make this happen. Very few of us ever get the chance to participate directly in nation building. The chance to create a national institution literally from the ground up. And that's what we have a chance to build here. A chance to build an international summer music festival that will be known around the world, and that all Canadians will take enormous pride in for decades to come. I was thinking earlier about your son, and what your son is now 3 months old? 5 months old. I was thinking about the pleasure that your son will get from this International Summer Music Festival for the next 30, 40, 50 years. And the fact that he will be able to tell his friends that his parents were involved in creating that, not only for this region, but for the whole country. And I want to say to all of you, thank you for the commitment and passion that each of you have brought to the project. I really, really believe that collectively we have the means to make this happen. And if we do, we'll all feel very, very good about it. So thank you again.